Now I want to talk to you about replace one. Replace one is a lot like update one. The difference is that it does a wholesale replacement of a document. Let's say you have a document on the server and it has these three key value pairs, ID1, A2, B3, and you want to update the entire document. What you can do is you can bring it into a variable. Let's say in Python, you could bring it into the variable doc, and then you can make changes to it. You could say doc A equals 5, and that would change the key value pair for the A key to be 5. And then you could save it back to the server using replace one. Now, unlike the update command, you're not changing a small part of the document when you actually send the command to the server. You're sending an entirely new document to the server. Because if you load this document variable, let's say by doing a find one from the server, if you load this up using find one, and then you work locally in your Python program, when you do replace one, you're going to send the entire document back. And that differs from, let's say, using an update with a $set operator, where you're only sending a command to the server to change one small part. Now, let's go through a program and look at an example. Here's a program that's going to work on the same grade data that we've been looking at in previous lessons. Now, the first thing we want to do in this program, we want to add a review date to a particular record. But before we do that, we want to remove all the review dates from all the records. So we're going to do that using this function I wrote called remove all review dates. And what that does is it actually removes the review date for every record using an update many. Now, this is a lesson on replace one, but it's still interesting to see a way we can do that using update many before we go and use replace one. So if we wanted to remove the review date key from every single record, then we can do it by saying review date. If it exists true, then unset it review date 1. Okay? So this is right here. This is our filter. We're saying look for things where review date exists as a key in the document. And if it exists, unset review date. And that just means review date is the one that's unset. It tells you how many documents it matched. Result.match_count. Now, if we do that, then all the review dates will be missing when we're done. Or I should say they'll be removed. Now, once we've removed all the review dates, let's say we wanted to add one review date using replace one. How would we do that? Well, here's a function that does it. I call this function add review date using replace one. It takes a student ID. It looks at the school database and the scores collection once again. And then it calls find one to find the document. Now, it does this because this is a typical way you might use replace one inside your program, which is that you call find one, you find the record for the student ID that was sent into this function of type homework, and you put that into a variable, and you put it into the variable score. Then we print it out just so that we know what's there. And now we set a new key. We set review date equal to date time UTC now. Now at this point, we have a document in the Python interpreter that looks exactly like the one on the server, except it has a review date set. Now we want to update that document using replace one, completely change it. So how do we do it? Well, we're going to call replace one. We need to describe what record we want to replace, what document we want to replace. And I'm pulling the underscore ID out of the document that I took from the server. That way I'm guaranteed to match properly because the underscore IDs are immutable. So no matter what criteria you use when you pulled it out, the underscore ID couldn't change. And then you pass the document, which has now been changed and amended to have this review date, into replace one. And that will replace a single document right here with the document that we've modified and mangled up here. Now, just to see what happened, we're going to do another find one, and we're going to print out what we get right here so that we can see what the document looks like after we're done. Let's see it run. And this program is called using underscore replace underscore one.py. So Python using underscore replace one.py. All right, we run it. First, it removes all the review date data. It removes review date from all the records. It says it found 300 documents and it removed it from every one. And then it pulls out the student with student ID 1. And you can see that it has no review date on it. And then after it does a replace one, you can see it has a review date. And that's it. That's the way it works. Now, there's one additional point I want to make about replace one, which is that when you use it in the way we just described, it isn't atomic. We pulled the document out, we made a change, and then we replaced the entire document. So there could have been an intervening change because there's no transactions in MongoDB. So if you know that you wanted to, for instance, increment something, it might be better to use an update statement where you can use the $set operator and know there's been no intervening change. Because there's actually a window of vulnerability in this code. And the window of vulnerability is that between the time that you found this record and pulled it out and the time that you called replace one, Any intervening changes at the database of this document are going to be lost because you're going to squash them when you do the replace one. Now the last point I want to make is that replace one uses the update server command just like update one and update many. I'm going to show you the code. This is from GitHub, from the Pymongo driver. This is the 3.0 beta. Should be released by the time a lot of you see the course, and it won't be in beta anymore. So here's a replace one code. The replace one code, if you look at it, at the end, what does it do? It calls _update, which is a private operator to update the document. And this is exactly the same _update that is called when you call update one. You can say _update, also called when you call update one, and also is called when you call update many. So both the replace one and the update many call, they all use the update command for the server. And the way that works is very similar to the way you saw in the shell. Although the shell command doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the same, because the shell command is separately implemented and then also calls the update command on the server. All right, now it's time for a quiz. And this sort of brings together some knowledge you've gotten from the last few lessons. Which of the following statements about updating data for Pymongo are true? Check all that apply. And you can see here the statements. The first one, I'll read them to you, is whether you use update one or replace one, the same amount of data is sent across the wire to the server. If you want to atomically increment the counter, replace one is preferred because the entire counter is replaced. Replace one, and update many all call the server's update command behind the scenes. If you use update one or update many, you must specify a dollar operator of some sort. If you use replace one, you may not specify a dollar operator, where operator is something like $set or unset. All right, check all that apply and all that are true.